a lot of nostalgia for me with this book. Well, kind of. I bought this because I grew up learning to read with the Disney's Wonderful World of Reading book, and this is one of those. However, the ones that I read were published by Grolier, and this one's published by Scholastic. However, from what I can remember, most of the illustrations on the inside are very similar. The story, of course, is the same, so there's still a lot of nostalgia for me with this one. As always, I'm not going to read it, but I will kind of flick through it and, point out some illustrations that stick in my mind from when I was younger. And you'll get a general overview of the story as well if you're not too familiar with it. I think I read this probably around 1996. I'm not sure if there's a publication date in this. I'm sure there will be. This one was published in 2007, which is definitely not when I was reading it. So it looks like maybe Scholastic took over publishing these. That seems to be the case. But as I said, I have kind of been through it already and confirmed that it still feels as beautifully nostalgic as I remember it. Mr. Sanders, an icon of Winnie the Pooh. And we have a lovely picture there of Tigger and Pooh. An adorable little piglet. And then I love that. Bump, bump, bump. I can hear that sound. That's beautifully written. I think onomatopoeia is such a fun thing, particularly for children. A rabbit with lots of vegetables. Bump, bump, bump. That's really amused me. I'm really thoroughly enjoying that. I don't remember that from my childhood, so I can't confirm if the actual writing, if the text is exactly the same, or if it's just the story that's very similar. We do have a very cute picture of Pooh Bear being very sleepy. If anybody does know if the narrative is exactly the same as the Grolier version, please feel free to let me know. We're going into the 100-Acre Wood. I feel like the illustrations are sharper than I remember, which is, understandable if this was published quite a good few years after. Hello! I cannot read that without reading it in Tigger's voice. This is obviously a very iconic episode as well, not just a book. And obviously one of the most wonderful Winnie the Pooh stories. There was a much more prominent illustration of this sand pit in the Grolier version. And that's a shame, because that's something I remembered very, very vividly. Maybe I'll get the Grolier version at some point, but it was definitely a much more appealing illustration of the sand pit. At least how I remember it. Maybe I'm misremembering it. Who knows? If you do have the Grolier version, please feel free to let me know. I'm sure I'll probably find a version of it online. Oh, and then we have Pooh Bear helping Piglet. And then both of them walking through the forest again. These last few pages seem a bit loose. This is obviously the second-hand book. Bump, bump, bump. Every time. Every time. I enjoy it a lot. Oh, poor disheveled rabbit. That's a beautiful illustration. That's so striking. Giant caterpillar. Froggies. Bump, bump. I'd do that one, but I can't. I really cannot do an impression of Tigger. I have tried. I can assure you it's terrible. Then we have, which I think is just beautiful. I'm sure House. Was it in this one? Somewhere. Maybe it's in the original, or maybe it's in the TV version, but House is spelled... Oh, there we go. Like, so Rabbit's house is spelled Howse, whereas House is spelled correctly there. So I feel like that's an oversight in Pooh Bear's house. So that's a bit of a shame that they floody place. I enjoyed. It's good fun. It's not exactly the Grolier book. And when I bought it on eBay, it was about £2. It didn't occur to me that it was the Scholastic version, but it's been a fun exercise in comparison. And even though it's not exactly as I remember it, because it's not the exact same book, it did bring back some fuzzy, happy memories.